Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Reconsider This AoE 2, where we, intermediate level players,
I don't know about intermediate at this point, but
at this point, we're experts. We're up there.
no, I meant the opposite, but sure.
Amazing. Beginners at this point. So it's been about 3 years. I want to get this out of the way first. It's been about 3 years since we uploaded. I've changed my name from Turkish Dev to Mystic Thing. So from now on, I'm Mystic, and Mystic Being is also Mystic. So we're the Mystic
Yeah.
Squared and Mystic Mystic. Um, yes. So Mystic Being. What are we talking about today?
Well, today we're gonna go over the noob mentality and the mentality that Mystic and Mystic and myself have been what's the right word? Prey to, I guess. We were like deer. It's basically just sitting in your base, thinking that walling will be the solution to winning the game. It's I don't need to attack. If I just build a nice, strong wall,
Amazing.
my enemy won't be able to attack me. I'll just be able to build up my little empire in my
It'll be
base.
huge.
I'll be able to be boom. I will able to boom. And as Mystic said, Donald Trump is correct. It will be huge.
It'll be huge.
But
It'll have a
you know
huge Mystic on it. It'll have
exactly.
subtitle Reconsider This AoE 2.
Exactly. I'll just be able to boom up to Imperial Age. I'll start pumping out units in Imperial Age. I don't know if I'm Byzantines, the Cataphracts. If I'm Khmer, the Ballista Elephants. I'll just create a huge army, and then in Imperial Age, I'll go in and attack that enemy. But in reality, the countless games that Mystic and I have played, that has almost never worked. Now there are some exceptions to it
Now,
with
I have to
game
point out
modes
some
and everything.
exceptions. So, how about this format? Okay, so I will debate you on that, Mr. Mystic. And my reasoning is very simple. We played recently, you know this, 2v2v2v2 Arabia,
Yep.
and
Those are good games.
you know what? I think a couple of games ago, where the Khmer player walled, and upon his walling, he basically boomed, and he had about like what 20% of the large map.
Oh, at least 20%, and he had multiple walls inside that 20%, so it was impossible to raid.
So this man comes into our base with ballista elephants in Imperial Age. And what did we have to fight it? I think I had crossbows, right?
You had crossbows, Frank castles.
Yeah, true.
I had a bunch of Magyar hussars, and then also what are they called? Cav archers. So kind of sucky, to be honest, against elephants.
You're right.
With the 320 HP, and I don't even think he had battle elephants. I think he completely had an army of ballistas. Now, ballistas themselves aren't as that powerful if you have like paladins up against them. But the problem was the enemy was also Magyars, and he had 180 HP paladins.
I see
And
what you
so
mean.
the paladins in combination with the ballista elephants were
With the
just too
ballista
much for
elephants.
us to handle. But here's the thing though. He was able to do that because we weren't attacking him. It was
Oh,
because
okay.
we had the mentality, the exact same mentality of sitting in our base, don't do anything, don't provoke anyone. And
It was
you
a
know,
2v2v2v2 to be fair.
yeah.
So we didn't really want to rush anybody and get destroyed early. But I don't
Exactly.
I thought you were doing that though.
I had a couple of, scouts, but those were mostly defensive scouts because we got,
Ah,
you know,
yes.
caught off guard because of two rushes, two independent rushes to each other. And
Oh yes, yes.
yeah, militia
True,
rushes. So,
true. Yeah.
it was a bit early. I wasn't ready for that. It's not like we play very often, so it's not like
What are you talking
we
about? We
were
were like pro expert gamers.
I don't know about that.
Talking of which, by the way, I forgot to mention, we recently passed to DE, right? So
Oh yes,
last time we were on Woobly 3 years ago, and
3 years ago.
we were not
Yeah.
passing to HD. I remember having this mentality where I was saying, people, I don't like these reforms in the game. You guys are adding too many new civs, and I remember the Khmer were just coming out, and we were
Yeah.
like making so much fun of the houses, the storing on
Oh
the
yeah.
houses, and
All
I
of the
and then I played as a Khmer recently, and I literally took advantage of that bonus.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
ironic that,
One
3 years later.
one might say not ironic, but hypocritical.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So
I'm kidding.
I guess yeah,
They have
today's
had some good rework done to them.
that's true.
So,
That's true. I do agree with that. So
yeah.
today, going back to today's topic being about rushing
Walling
and
and rushing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So your proposal is to have a wall of units. Am I understanding that correctly?
Agreed. 100%. You your wall of units should be first. So you should rush with whatever if you're the Magyars, you're going to go with your scouts. You're going to get a scout rush. If you're the Britons, you're going to go with the archers, and if you're I don't know the Goths or if you want to surprise someone, you go with the infantry. Don't generally suggest rushing with infantry, but sometimes it can catch people off guard, especially if they're going for say a scout build and they're going to rush you with scouts. Your man at arms will be much more powerful, and also you can throw in a couple spears to defend them off. But while you're rushing and while they're focused on your attack in their base, you can spend some time doing some quick house walling at your base, and you can do a rudimentary wall. So I think that's personally how I would handle most games. I wouldn't rely on just walling up and going to Imperial Age or Castle
Yeah.
Age to fight. I think in certain cases where if you're the Franks and you want to go for a night rush, then doing some walling.
Yeah. So
See,
what do you
if
think
you
about
look
that,
at
huh?
the pros though, if you look at the pros,
But
they
we're not.
always rush.
The point is though.
We're not the pros. Yes, I agree. But we should always strive to be the
True.
pros. We
True.
shouldn't strive to basically do what the noobs do.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying
That's
that
true.
in a derogatory manner. Everyone's noobs. I personally consider myself at this point, having not really played very much, not noob in terms of game sense, but in terms of speed. The hotkeys are all new.
Oh yeah.
Tons of new civilizations.
Especially with DE now, with the new
Yeah,
hotkeys, getting used to those as well.
yeah. I could consider myself,
I could
relatively low.
reconsider ourselves. Whoever
Yeah,
plays.
so I think the method to really get better in this game is just to rush.
Yeah.
Get military units out faster. I think that's the primary thing. Hotkeys are great and everything, but in the end, they save you. You get the main ones down: houses, farms, lumber camps. Just the primary ones. Then focus on rushing and making sure that your TC is constantly producing and that the enemy is on their toes. Because if the enemy is countering what you're doing, they're reacting.
Yeah.
They don't have the chance to unless they're really good. They don't
I
have
mean
the chance to
that's I
think
mean
of
unless if there's a huge
attacking you.
ELO gap in any case, it's not really gonna
Yes.
matter at the end of the day. But yeah, I agree with you in general. I shouldn't. I'm on the other side of the debate, so I'm gonna rebuttal you. Okay. So
Okay,
here's my
let's hear what you have to say.
here's my walling argument. Okay. First and foremost, okay. Let's say because in DE everything's more efficient, right? I think we can both
Yes.
agree that in DE
Yeah.
life is so much more efficient. You can literally queue clicking up as you have villagers queued. So you won't
Yeah.
ever
Do
have that issue, right?
farms, everything. Like
Everything, yeah, yeah,
auto
yeah.
farms.
Pretty much. So with all that in mind, how much of a struggle would it be, Mystic, to just
Hmm.
send out one villager either while you're advancing to feudal age, or even before that, because you even have auto scout. I can make that
Yeah.
argument as well. Like I'm
Mm,
not
sure.
suggesting that you at all times auto scout. There isn't that much that you can do. So why don't you just take that one villager, go wall with it, and
Well,
build a wall?
I think okay, there's a couple of things with that. Number one, you might get too invested in the walls. You might be like, I'm not gonna because everything takes up brain power, and I think figuring out where best to wall and making sure that there aren't any holes and making sure that your villagers don't get killed to enemy scouts or to wolves or anything like that takes up brain power, and it removes your focus from actually rushing or anything like that. The second thing is, and this is something that plagues us all, but it it plagues you especially, Mystic, is the hole in the wall. conundrum, and you just need that one
Yep.
tiny little hole in your wall, and you are screwed.
But
You let in
okay,
a
but
couple units.
before we fall into the fallacy of if you have a wall, you're safe. I would suggest reconsidering that and just saying if there is a hole, just just maybe like quick wall the enemy to the TC or so. I don't know. It's just work something out
See,
depending on your situation. I'm not suggesting that if you're walled,
yeah,
you're completely safe. If you have that in the back of your mind, maybe. But I think what the fallacy that we fall into is once you have the wall, it's unbreakable or something like that, and there's no holes in it. But I think if we can get
hmm
past that, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. No, there's you know, there's merit to having a good wall with an army, but I think an army in an enemy's base is so much more valuable. It is something that when we do it correctly, like when we actually rush, when we're the first ones to attack, or if we're, countering them in the middle of the map, we almost never lose. Like it's only those games where we are rushed first because we're too slow or we're going for a late strategy, like a night rush strategy or something like that, or we're trying to wall. Um, those are the games that we tend to lose. So, you know, personally, I think that rushing is one of the top things that a player can do to get better at the game, to start winning more games. Having more fun. I don't know about you, Mystic, but personally, no matter what game it is, if I'm trying to do something sneaky, if I'm trying to invest into a risky strategy, my heart starts to start pounding, my brain gets hyper focused, I start getting really nervous, I get really excited, and the game just gets so much better after that. And after the game itself, I get this buzz, this feeling that of elation. It's weird. You just feel good after the game. So I think people will enjoy the game more if they start to rush, if they start investing some of their time into
I
practicing some
I
build orders
100%
and
agree with
everything
you. I
rather than
100%
walling.
agree with you. I mean, I don't think either of us are discrediting that, certain strategies here. I do have to point that out. They do require walling. Like if you're going to go for a fast castle, there's no reason you shouldn't wall in feudal age. I think we should make that clear. Um like I'm not saying full out invest in a Great Wall of China or something like
Hmm.
that, but just basic walling measures that keep your villagers relatively safe against maybe at least scouts and ideally some some archers in case you get hit.
Yes.
I don't think we're arguing against that, but I think the case that just so our viewers understand where we're coming from is for the case we're making together, and in this fake debate that we're having, where I'm defending the wall, where I'm defending the walls, is yes, I think we should rush more with scouts, with archers, even like militia kind of needs a little more more
Militia
skill.
militia needs finesse. Militia needs finesse. It needs a lot of practice, I think.
Yeah, I
And
agree. But I
but
think
if you can
people,
get it down
yeah,
and you're playing against people of the similar
yeah,
ELO,
yeah.
you can dominate.
I mean,
So
I think just rushing in feudal age, I think it's kind of underrated. So I do feel like this episode is pertaining to whether you should rush in feudal age or not. So
yes.
like you're getting up to fast feudal to pop out like one or two archery ranges and just throw out some archers at your opponent. Is that worth it? Versus doing something else like such as walling. Because if you try to wall and you're caught in the middle of trying to wall by your enemy who's like got a lot of archers, not even a lot. If he has four, he can still flood a lot of other archers from the back. He can have a stream of archers coming. So I guess the case we're making is just to rush or not to rush feudal age
Yes.
edition.
And I think the conclusion that we can come to is pretty clear, and the reasons behind it. You get more enjoyment out of the game. You get better at the game. Your reaction speed increases.
I want to add one more.
Your win rate goes up. Yeah, go ahead.
You get an actual economy that's geared toward producing units.
That's
So
true.
if the rush doesn't go successful, as Mystic pointed out, you have a wall of units. Let's say your opponent gets to rush before you. You at least have something to keep your opponent busy, and you're not trying to just build and your buildings might fail and the game goes downhill from there. But on top of that, you now have an economy geared towards supporting a military production in the future. You can keep constantly adding on top of that. And it's a good economy. It has a purpose. You get those units out, but now you have an actual, mature economy that you can build out of. So that is definitely a huge plus as well. And I hope that after this episode gets released, people don't start rushing more.
What?
I kind of don't
Yeah,
want to play against that.
that's true. I mean,
Not to be
live by your
hypocritical.
word. Yeah. So in the end, we're obviously not catering to high ELO players. We're
Oh, absolutely
you know
not. No.
yeah, we're obviously catering towards people who are getting into the game, and they might not have as much game knowledge, and if you've been playing in this walling strategy and you've been hitting yourself against the wall, why am I not winning? Why is this frustrating? Why am I not maybe having as much as fun as I should? Try rushing. Just go onto YouTube. There's tons and tons. Zero Empires, T90, Spirit of the Law. All of these channels have great content in how to rush, how to do a proper scout rush, archer
I
rush,
agree
whatever.
100%.
Tower rush. I mean, I personally do not support tower rushes.
No,
I
I
think they're.
support it. I
I
support it.
support it, but I don't support it at the
Go
same
in there
time.
with all your villagers and
It
Persian Greece and,
is
and rush with
so
towers as well.
darn annoying. Just like a TC drop, I,
Come on,
it's
TC
effective.
drops there.
It's effective. I can't deny that. But do I want to play against it? No. I think most pros also have that same idea, and also noobs too. You never want to see towers just being popped up in your base.
That's true.
It's probably one of the shittiest things that
Maybe we
you
can
could
have
see.
another episode on Reconsider This towers.
Oh yes,
Just to
yes.
consider, is it I mean, I think it's in the game, so you can do it just as Persian douche. But is it as legit? It's annoying for sure. So I don't know. It's one of those gray areas. But I think it can be fought back with counter towers. So I do feel like it makes it more legitimate than Persian douche.
Yes, yeah. Persian douche is like it's got douche in the name.
It's literally douche. It's almost like a fat Slavian name or
Oh
something.
yes, yes, yeah. Rest in peace, Faisal. I'm kidding. Anyway, I think that concludes this episode.
that does
I think we
conclude most
made
of it.
some pretty good points. If you have any doubts, I suggest don't take our word for it. Try it out yourself. Give yourself a couple of games. Maybe play against the AI. You can definitely trust me. I'm not the greatest player, but I can beat the AI with rushes, even monk rushes, hardest are. So
Yeah, AI is terrible against rushes as well,
exactly.
generally speaking. You can get how useful rushes are in general just by playing against AI. But I think whatever your ELO is, like that's the level of play you're going to be facing against anyways. And
Yeah.
so like if you're rated like I'm not too familiar with the DE ratings yet, but just going off HD
Zero.
ratings.
I have zero competence.
But going off HD ratings, like I was rated 1700 or so, and so if you want to play like if your ELO is like 1200, and the starting was 1600. Just for those who are not familiar with HD ELOs, you start at 1600, and let's say you've dropped all the way down to 1200. That's fine, I'm not saying you've dropped down, you suck or something. But if you're gonna be playing against people that are in that ELO, generally speaking, like you shouldn't be aiming to win against 1900 ELO people or something. You should be aiming to win against 1200 ELO people. So if you haven't tried rushing until now, that might be the game changer that gets you back up to 16, 1700 as well.
Yep.
So we're not making the case that if you're a 1600 ELO player, you can beat Wiper now that you can rush or something. That's not what we're saying. But yeah, I think with respect to your ELO, I think it can put you, if you aren't already out there rushing in the field age, I think it could put you above where you're at maybe. at least just give
Oh
it a
yes.
shot. Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Reconsider it. Reconsider it.
Reconsider it. Well, I think this episode's getting a bit long in the tooth. We've discussed
Talking of the
everything we need
tooth,
to.
I kind of want to bring up the. I'm joking. Ballista.
That's for another episode.
That's for
Yes.
another episode. Okay. It's been nice. Thank you everyone again for watching until now, and I hope you enjoyed our third episode. It's been 3 years coming. We worked hard on this one. This one completely scripted, every second of it.
Yeah, we basically took every word and we wrote it down.
It was all written.
See, my math. I'm not going to be able to do quick maths right now, but I'm gonna say one word a day for the last 3 years. We've probably said more than, what is it, like 1,000?
1,000 words, yeah.
1,000
I think we've
something
surpassed
words, so.
it easily.
Yeah.
So
maybe someone can calculate that.
I also want
Put
to
it down
just
in the
put
comments.
this out. Yeah, in the comments. Use the comments to tell us what episodes you want us to talk about in the future. I mean, not what topics you want us to talk about in future episodes as well. Obviously, we're going to be throwing random stuff and at whenever we want. Hopefully not, in 3 years from now. But but yeah, do suggest us what episodes you want, what topics you'd like to hear from us, and
Definitely.
and yeah, so we're not scholars of the game, we're not doctors of the game, we're not professors of the game, we're not wipers. So anything you hear from now is on this episode and future episodes is not to be taken as expert advice or anything. But we're your fellow community members making a podcast. That's about it, I think. Mystic, do you have any closing remarks other than that?
Nope. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you later.
See you later.